hello, and welcome to the Kyoshi Herbie Bagwell TV show. I'm your host, Kyoshi Herbie Bagwell. I want to thank you all for attending my a few weeks ago, the Mid-Connecticut Karate Championships Karate Tournament that was held in Milford, Connecticut. We had a really good turnout, a lot of good competition, a lot of good competitors. And I want to say hello to that team that came from Florida. Wow, from Florida. That was really, really cool. But I want to continue on. We had our guest in our last show, and now we're going to our fall program. And I want to thank you all for the feedback that I'm getting back from the TV show. Yes, the studio is absolutely beautiful, state-of-the-art wireless mics. Man, this is like so cool. I'm an 80s guy, so this is great. So, but at the end of the day, I want to thank you all for watching the Kyoshi Herbie Bagwell TV show. And on behalf of all of us here at SCC TV, we thank you so much for watching. This is going to be the first of 5 beginner taekwondo. Beginner taekwondo. Let's get started. Taekempo kai. Taekempo martial arts. What is it? Taekempo martial arts is a combination of taekwondo and Shaolin Kempo. It was actually founded when I was fighting at the Battle of Atlanta some almost 20 years ago now. And I learned that as soon as a fighter would to expand towards me, I was able to contract this way, but still be effective with the kick or high block reverse punch. So it's Taekempo martial arts. Taekempo martial arts is a combination, once again, of Taekwondo and, of course, Shaolin Kempo. This is the first part of 5-part series on beginner Taekwondo martial arts. Now, Taekwondo is the art of hand and foot. And a lot of practitioners don't really understand, but when you are a Taekwondo practitioner, you're going to get your self-defense from, of course, Hapkido. Hapkido is a part of Taekwondo. That's where Taekwondo gets its self-defense from. So if you are a black belt or higher, first dan, second dan, or first degree, second degree, wherever you're from, whatever they call it, first dan, second dan, or first degree, second degree, wherever you're from, you're going to find that if you are a black belt in Taekwondo, that Hapkido is attached to that upper rank, say from red belt all the way into black belt fraternity. So I want you to look into that. And some of you don't practice Hapkido. Doesn't make your Taekwondo any less different. Let me first say that and preface that. But the most important thing you have to understand that if you're a black belt in Taekwondo traditionally, then you are also either a red belt or a black belt in Hapkido. Okay, let's get started. The first belt in Taekwondo is called Chunji. Now I'm going to go through all the belts for you watching so we all understand. I'm going through the underbelts now. Okay, underbelt means from white belt to say red black or white belt to black belt. Just the underbelts, okay? So you have Chunji, Dangun, Dosan, Wanyo, Yogo, Jungun, Taege, Warang, Chungmu. Those are your underbelt katas. Some call them katas, some call them forms, some call them patterns. So my Canadian people across the border, you guys call them patterns. It's the wildest thing. We call them kata or forms on this side of the border in the United States. But either way, we still can communicate, of course, harmoniously. So I want to say hello to all my Canadian friends up there, Saskatchewan, Toronto, Quebec, Montreal. Hey guys, happy holidays to you. So let's go ahead and get started. Now the first kata is called Chunji. I'm going to go really slow. I'm going to narrate the kata as we're going to go through. So I bow. I go right to Junbi. I turn, low block. Okay? Step and punch. Right hand turns. Low block here, step and punch. Turn, low block, and punch. One big turn, low block, step and punch. I look, my back is to you only for a moment. Middle block and a back stance, okay? I'm gonna go through the kata in a minute and narrate it and punch. Turn, middle block, step and punch. Look to my left. Middle block, step, and punch. Right hand, turn again, middle block, punch 1, punch 2, reverse and punch, and ki. Aya, baro. And shun. Let's go back over Chunji and let me show you the intricacies of what's going on, because every move, every block, every punch, there's something going on that really doesn't meet the eye. When I go to these Grandmaster meetings, and we have a lot of seminars over here and seminars over there, the one place where you really learn about Kempo or Taekwondo or Hapkido or whatever style it is, you don't even learn about the style as you're watching the seminars. You actually learn about your discipline when you're sitting down talking to these grandmasters. It's just amazing. You want to have like a recorder and pen and paper, because it's just amazing, okay? So let's go through Chunji one more time. So we bow. This is called Junbi. Junbi is a ready position. I look to my left, and as I'm transitioning here, that transition, I can go from a block, I can go from a low block, I can go to a middle block if I had to, but we're making that transition from right out of Junbi into a low block, okay? Taekwondo is predicated on its power from chambers. Above the obi is called the belt, okay? So a low block, then I step and punch. And when we punch, we focus on the first two knuckles of the punch, okay? Focus on the first two knuckles. I turn, low block, okay? And once again, when I'm making that low block, I can do an X block up top, I can do an X block down low, I can do a low block, I can do a middle block, okay? As long as my hand is here, I can do any block that I want. So there's so much going on as you're making those transitions. There's so much going on. Step and punch. Before I move, I look to where I'm going. Chamber, low block. Now these are all front stances, okay? We're gonna get into the back stance a little bit later, not too much, in a few more moves, we're gonna go to middle blocks, okay? So now we're here, low block and punch, focusing on the first two knuckles. Now, these punches are either chest high or right to the person's neck, so they're gonna be right here. The only punch that goes high, of course, is when you're doing what? Do-san, okay? Now, Do-san and Dan-gun, those punches are gonna look kind of high because you're standing up here, okay? But when you're doing Do-san, when you come to a chamber, is they're called high punches. But we're gonna get to that in just a moment, okay? Now, low block, punch. Still doing Chunji. I turn, low block, punch. Now we're gonna get into a middle block. My back is to you for a moment. I look to my left, chamber, middle block. This is called a back stance. It's either 60-40 or 70-30, all depending on how low you want to get. You don't want to get too low because now we're looking at like Shotokan katas and stuff like that. So we're nice and low enough where we're balanced, 60-40, 60 on that back leg, 40 on the front. So middle block here, step and punch, okay? Turn again, middle block in a back stance. After the middle block, step and punch. I'm giving you short front stances only because I want you to understand that the longer my stance is, the longer it takes to come out, of course, of that stance. So you want to make really sure that when you're in that back stance and you make that punch, boom, okay? That's where you really want to be, okay? So now, again, we were in that middle block here, step and punch. I look to my left, middle block. Once again, I'm in a back stance, okay? Let me just back up towards the camera. So I'm in a back stance here, step and punch. Right hand, left ear. As I turn, making that transition, middle block. I'm in a back stance, okay? Middle block here, so punch one, punch 2, reverse and punch 1, reverse and punch and ki. Aya, baro, and shun. So when you're doing these katas, especially with beginners, white, yellow, and orange, 3 things are going to happen in any martial arts school. A, does the student really want to be there? B, do they have the enthusiasm even when they make a mistake? Is the enthusiasm still there? And number 3, is the student teachable? Can we teach that particular student? Okay? Now, I know a lot of martial arts school owners will take a student in regardless because it's a business. I understand that. But also understand too, a lot of instructors, including myself, we're no longer in the business of, come on, you can do it, let's go. If the person on your dojo floor, instructors, is doing this, they don't want to be there. And that could be a cancer towards your other students. That student has to go. You're going to have to sacrifice, I don't care how much it is, for that student to go. Or you have a nice little long conversation with them, and you explain to that particular student, like, listen, you can't come onto the floor doing this. You can't waste mommy and daddy's money and time. They have to want to come out and they have to look like this. Boom. They have to snap it out there. And even if they don't snap it out there, and I'm going to do a kata, I'm going to do something wrong. Even if they do something wrong, if they come out and they do this, which is wrong, but at least you can see the enthusiasm. I can work with that. I can work with that. That puts wind in my sails because now I can teach. Okay? So a lot of instructors, they just take them in regardless because they want their numbers up at the end of the month. Kyoshi Bagwell is not like that. I want you to want to be there. I want you to want to be able to learn. We're all going to make mistakes at somewhere along the road. If I told you about my time in martial arts right here in New London 100 years ago, you would laugh hysterically. Right there by the Guard Theater in New London, Connecticut, Grandmaster Chuck Merriman. To you, sir. And I remember I made a lot of mistakes, but at the end of the day, I stuck with it. I'm glad that I did. I had a father who didn't even say the word Q-U-I-T. It wasn't even allowed in our house. But today's kids, that's another Kyoshi Herbie Bagwell TV show. So let's move on from that. Our next kata is called Dangun. Dangun is the second kata in Taekwondo. You have Chunji, Dangun, Dosan. Those are the 3 beginner katas. And within that, you're going to teach the student about punches, about blocks, about low blocks and high blocks. They're going to learn about riding horse stances, front stances, back stances. They're going to learn about all of the stances that you can think of in that beginner, white, yellow, and orange. And there's so much for that student to take in. And it's imperative that students not only attend class, but they participate in the class to get everything that they can out of it. They just try to bleed the class for everything that you can. Of course, private lessons and extra classes also help, but when the student is there in the classes, your students, you want to just bleed everything out of that class and absorb it. Try to retain it. It's the retention of information that allows a student to go from white, yellow, and orange, green, green, white, all the way up the ladder. Okay, let's get started. Here we go. Yellow belt kata taekwondo is called Dangun. Okay? Junbi, Dangun. I'm going to do the kata first, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to narrate it and explain to you what you're looking at. Always look before you strike. Strike, punch, chamber. Strike, punch, chamber. I look to my left, okay? I step into it. Double knife in the back stance. As you can see, this is a bit more intimate than, of course, Chunji. Feint block here, spear finger. Aya, chamber. This is one move here. I break it down, I teach younger students, I turn like this. I turn, 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 and strike. If I'm teaching an adult, I still break it down, but I let them know that when they do that spear finger, it's a chamber above my obi, one spin, and then a strike. And they have to land straight, not off to the side, but straight. Okay, so let's back up here. As I step forward, this is the only chamber that I'm not particularly crazy about because you have to step and go inside to strike. Now, some katas, as you're here, they go outside and boom. That's how it's really supposed to go. But the way that I was taught doing Dangun 100 years ago, as you're here and you turn and you strike, it goes inside strike. That's the only time you're going to see that. Chamber, left hand, right ear, turn, strike, punch, chamber. My back is to you only for a moment. Strike, punch, chamber. Now, my right hand goes inside here. As I turn, it's a two forearm block, okay? Right, right, left. Left hand comes down, right hand comes over top. I turn, two forearm block again in a short front stance, okay? Left, left, right. Now, one step. High block one, my back is to you for a moment. High block two, right arm chamber, left hand, knife hand. Spin, turn, strike. Now, I'm in a riding horse stance. I'm going to explain this riding horse stance too in a moment, okay? So now we're here. Chamber, I look, shuffle, aya, baro, and shun. Now, Dangun is a wonderful kata to watch in competitions when you have a white, yellow, and orange belt competing for the very first time. You don't want to give, obviously, a beginner kata or a beginner competitor a more intricate kata like Jungun or Teige. That just wouldn't look good. You're in the beginner ranks doing a brown belt kata. That's not fun at all. Okay, as a promoter, that I have the biggest karate tournament in Connecticut called the Mid-Connecticut Karate Championships. Also as a school owner, as a chief instructor, as a 5-time kickboxing champion, as a 2-time Hall of Famer. And also I do judge at other promoters' tournaments. I know when I'm judging the competitors, if they're doing an advanced kata, say Teige or Jungun or whatever, and they're only a white or a yellow belt, there's some ethics and morals going on there. But that's between the student and the instructor. I won't even touch that. I'll go ahead and judge the kata, and I just stay out of the politics. But I can guarantee you other instructors are going to have something to say about that. So you want to stay within the rules, within what's reasonable. I can see a green belt kata, maybe even a blue belt kata in the beginner ranks, but to see an advanced kata in a beginner, that's not cool. There would be some ethics and some moralistic questions going on there. But moving on with Dangun. Dangun is a phenomenal kata. It's a beginner kata in the Taekwondo discipline. And we have a lot of new beginners that are doing this Dangun, and they love the back stances, and they love the riding horse stances, and they love all of that. So I'm going to take just a quick moment on a couple of stances. I'm going to give you 2 views, facing you and, of course, to either side, okay? So like a 3-dimensional, 1, 2, and 3. So the first one I'm going to give you is the low block. The low block is in the front stance here. My right hand's above my obi, my belt, okay? This is a front stance, okay? If I make a transition to a front stance here, watch what has to happen. Left arm chamber, right hand comes up as I turn and switch, low block, okay? Whatever leg is out, that hand is down. Basically right above the knee, not touching the knee, not way up here, but right above the knee, about 1 inch, okay? If I go into a back stance, and I'll do it right here in front of you, I have to have that chamber into a back stance, okay? And as you can see, my right foot is on an angle in the back. My feet are here. My right foot is pointing straight ahead at the camera. So I'm in a middle block here, okay? Now it's slightly bent, not straight, but slightly bent. Now from a middle block, I'm gonna go to a riding horse stance. So now I'm here. A riding horse stance is both feet are straight, okay? They're both feet are straight here, and my knees are, as you can see, bowing out. They're bowed out, like my belt is bowed out here. It's just like my belt. They're bowing out, okay? And this is a riding horse stance, okay? So if I'm here, that's a riding horse stance. In classes today, the riding horse stance is very painful stance. If you do it over and over and over and over again, it's obviously less painful. But as instructors, we sometimes let our kids cheat out a little bit. And when they cheat out a little bit, they're not putting that stress on their ankles or their shins or their feet. But it's important to know that as instructors, we have to show the proper technique all the time. You may give some leeway on the riding horse stances. Some instructors wouldn't even think of it. And I get it, I understand that. But when you have little kids that are learning, teach them the right stance first. And then you allow some wiggle room for error. You have to. Because it's not 1975 karate, because there was no room for error. We had bamboo sticks, whack, whack, against our legs back in the day, while parents were allowed to smoke inside the karate school. How crazy is that? So we're going to the 70s, some 30 years ago, okay? 40 years ago, I should say, excuse me. So here we go. Now, after we do all of that, here comes the 8-point blocking system. So the 8-point blocking system, now go really slow. From here, I'll say riding horse stance, chamber, ayah. You gotta start out with the punch. When you're doing your riding horse stance and you go from here, middle block, okay? And of course, cross block, okay? Cross block and a middle block is the same thing. This is a low block, this is a low block. High block, okay? So again, we're gonna come here in a riding horse stance. Middle block. Now, cross block is that way, chamber, cross block, chamber. High block, low block, and of course, low block. When you're teaching little kids, their coordination may not be as good. So sometimes a low block might be just straight down, and of course, straight down. Once again, you gotta give some wiggle room to these little kids around, like, you know, say 4, 5, and 6 years of age, okay? You gotta give some wiggle room. You gotta give them a little wiggle room on the stances, because a true riding horse stance for a 4, 5, 6-year-older can be painful. If their feet are out, they can stand there a lot longer, okay? So once again, the 8-point blocking system, okay? So from here, ayah, middle block, cross block, high block, low block. Now for little kids, their arm just goes straight down, okay? When you're doing that low block, your arm is slightly bent, chamber, slightly bent, chamber. It's not straight, it's slightly bent. Remember that, okay? Now, we're going to get into our third kata in Taekwondo, which is called Do-san. Chunji Dangun Do-san. Do-san is a lot of movements there. You're going to see a lot more intimate techniques, a lot more overhead blocks. Okay, you're going to see a lot of double knives. You're going to see front stances. You're going to see everything there is to see in Do-san, okay? Ready? Do-san, Junbi, ayah. Look before I strike. Double knife, back stance, step and punch. As I'm making my transition, double knife in the back stance, step and punch, excuse me. I come up here, a low block, chamber, high punch. Now, if there were mirrors in front of me, I want to punch to my forehead in the mirror, okay? So punch 1, punch 2, punch 3, punch 4, ki. Aya. Chamber. I'm going to have my back to you for a minute. I'm turning into a back stance in 2 form block, okay? Double chamber, step, right hand punch. Chamber here, turn, 2 form block in the back stance, double chamber, left hand punch. My back will be to you only for a moment. Chamber, once again, low block, hit my belt, high block. High block 1, high block 2, high block 3. I'm shortening my stances. High block 4. Chamber, spin, turn, strike in a riding horse stance, okay? We don't want the chicken wing. Put that elbow in nice and tight. I look, step, and punch. Right hand, knife hand, spin, turn, strike. I look and punch ki. Aya. This is called a hinge step. Baro and shun. When you're doing these katas are absolutely awesome to me. Katas bring discipline, balance, coordination. They have a level of boundary, a level of structure that martial arts students need. Not just kids, not just adults, but just martial artists in general. You have to have boundaries. You have to have structure. You have to have coordination. You have to have discipline. You have to have all of that. You have to have balance. And you learn all of that by doing all these katas. It's absolutely amazing. Some of the best point fighters in the world are phenomenal kata practitioners. They're awesome. I'm not going to name all the names. I didn't get any releases, but they watch my show. You guys know who I'm talking about. You guys are absolutely amazing fighters, and you're absolutely amazing kata practitioners, and with weapons too. There's a Muay Thai fighter who is a Hall of Fame fighter in point fighting. He knows who he is. He's recently engaged, knew what I'm talking about. I love you, my man. And he is amazing with the bow staff. Oh my goodness, he has videos out that he was just awesome. So my point that I'm making is that it takes structure, discipline, it takes accountability to get your mind and your body in sync of each other. And yes, martial arts is very, very spiritual. Most of you seen all my social media stuff. I'm a very spiritual man right here in New London at Shallow Baptist Church where I was raised, okay? And so now I live in Milford, Connecticut, but the point that I'm making is that martial arts is also very, very spiritual. You have to have a level of spirituality when you are doing all of your martial arts. So remember that, okay? A level of spirituality, because it is spiritual. You got to go deep inside to bring everything out. Because Taekwondo and Kempo, or any discipline at Bagwell Academy, is called Taekempo martial arts. It will show your weaknesses. Anything that you have weaknesses, it's going to bring it out. And so a lot of folks like to work on their strengths all the time. Work on your weaknesses too. So your fighting game or your kata game, doesn't have any weakness. Make sure that you are all about strength and getting better and better and, of course, better, okay? Let's rehash. We went over Chunji, Dangun, and Dosan. We went over the 8-point blocking system. We went over all the katas, front stance, back stances, riding horse stances. We went over the punches. Always punch. Use your first 2 knuckles when you punch, and everything works out just right. If you use your whole hand when you punch, you're going to hurt your hand, you're going to hurt your knuckles, maybe even break your hand, even break your wrist. So be careful while you're out there. Be very careful, okay? So, my name is Kyoshi Herbie Bagwell for the Kyoshi Herbie Bagwell TV show. Thank you, and good night.